The expression line of fire seems simple. Well, if you're talking about someone firing a gun, shooting an arrow, or throwing a stone at a target, it is. It's the trajectory of the missile, and anyone who gets in the way gets hurt. They're in the line of fire. But when you apply it to working situations, it's not nearly as straightforward. Let's look at some examples to see what we mean. These are reproductions of events that actually happened. What could be more simple than getting into a minibus? Some people are already on board, and there's one more to get in. How can there be a line of fire here? Well, the man getting into the seat behind the driver discovered there was. Someone in the rear didn't realize his hand was there and closed the sliding door. Result, a broken finger. Here in bad weather, a tugboat is helping to maneuver a vessel alongside a platform. They need a line to secure the vessel, so a member of the deck crew opens the forward hatch on the forecastle deck to get one from the locker. Do you see any line of fire? As he pushed down on the counterbalance bracket, his fingers were trapped between it and the securing lug. He fractured 3 of them. Two men just walking, but beside them there's an immovable object. And it's being approached by an irresistible force. In this case, the forklift operator glimpsed their high-vis vests as they walked behind the container on the forks. He stopped in time, but they were definitely in the line of fire. This breast line has been passed to the mooring boat, but as the slack is taken up, it catches on the fairlead roller. As the others slacken the line to free it, the individual on deck tries to attach a running line to the breast line to try to pull it clear. Can you see any line of fire here? As he reached over the top of the breast line, the vessel yawed, the line freed itself, and the tension on it caused it to jump up and trap his arm between the rope and the underside of the bulwark. It was fractured in several places. Two men are getting ready to feed an umbilical overboard via a chute. One is holding the hook, the other is feeding the strop into the chute. When the first one puts the hook on the chute, there's no load on it yet. But the second one begins to feed out the wire. Okay, again, any lines of fire here? He's standing in the bight of the rope. As the wire was fed out, the wire strop slipped over the chute very quickly and trapped his leg between the wire and the end pull-in head. Here the crew are lifting a load onto the deck. There's a constant 2.5-ton tension on the winch, and a nylon grommet that helped stop the load from swinging had become wrapped around the main lifting shackle. When the nylon grommet parted, there was only one way for it to go: straight down. Its line of fire. This time, luckily, no one was in the way. The common factor in all of these is movement, caused either by hydraulics, tensions, pressures or gravity, with the added complication that while at sea, things are rarely still, so any movements involving hoists or lifts will always be made worse by the ship's own movements. Each of the examples we've given has highlighted one line of fire, but in reality there are usually several, and there can be many. Our final tragic example is a case in point. It was a 3-ton load which had to be lifted from the main deck, swung across and lowered onto the spar deck. It was on a single sling, and its configuration created an offset center of gravity. But this wasn't the only factor. The boom of a different crane was in its rest, which prevented the lifting crane from moving the load directly above the spar deck. The result was that the load was swung in against the spreader bar and then slid forward towards the senior rigger's location, crushing him against the cargo rail behind him. The momentum of such a large load could be increased by the crane's swing. Its offset center of gravity could make it rotate faster. Its contact with various parts of the spreader beam on the spar deck as it swung would also affect its behavior. And of course, the vessel's own movements are an added factor. Any combination of some or all of them could produce unpredictable results. Once force is applied to anything, it sets up tensions, movements, pressures, which build up force and energy, which can be released suddenly and in sometimes unexpected directions. Where movement is happening, or can happen, there'll always be potential lines of fire. Our awareness and anticipation of that potential has got to be sharp all the time. Don't put yourself in the line of fire from any direction.